I welcome to this new podcast. In today's podcast, we have with us Puran sir and Devesh sir. And we are going to discuss about what should be the last minute preparation strategy for board exams. And we are going to systematically delve into four important or five important questions rather than that. First, we are going to talk about our journeys and how what was our experience in writing board exams, what mistakes did we do. Then what should be a student strategy before the exam, during the exam, after the exam, and what are the important pitfalls or mistakes that most of the students do, and if possible, you should avoid those steps. So, without any further delay, let us start. Puran sir, how was your experience in writing board exams?
Right. I was pretty much like prepared for IIT, right? So I was preparing for IIT. So I was not that much focused about board exams.
Okay.
But somehow I was able to score 80%. And
Acha.
I was pretty happy. I was pretty happy with my performance in that. But yes, I think
How much you scored in PCM?
PCM overall 85%.
अच्छा ठीक है good.
Hmm.
ठीक है.
Like it can be improved. So there are certain things which I didn't do while I was preparing for board exams. The thing is, I have written only two mock tests at that time.
Okay.
Just two mock tests. Even I skipped PYQs. I
Fine.
haven't done PYQs. So
Acha.
whatever like questions which my friend gave to me, like just prepare these questions. I prepared only those questions in the last mile journey. So that's why I was able to get around 80%, and I was pretty happy with that.
Okay. Okay. Because you put minimum amount of effort in doing that.
Yes, yes. Because my focus was pretty clear. I want to get into IIT.
Okay.
And 70, I think around 70% marks were required for that.
Acha. So, did we have some kind of criteria at that point of time?
Yeah.
There was. Acha.
There was a criteria for English also. Like you have to score at least 70% in English.
Acha. ठीक है, didn't remember. Devesh sir, what was?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, go
Yeah. The otherwise, like we have to do humanities course in the first year.
Okay, that is the reason most of the people did those humanities
Yes.
courses. Acha. I never understood that why they are doing it and why am I not doing it. It was never clear to me.
Yeah.
ठीक है, got it.
That was the reason.
Acha, never understood that. Never connected till this point of time. Why are they writing it and why I'm not doing that? There was we used to call humanities hookah courses, right?
Yeah. Hookah.
So why are they doing the hookah courses on English and why we are not doing the hookah courses? Great.
Yeah.
Devesh sir, how was your experience in class 12th and 10th also, if you want to share that?
So in 10th means I was a little bit more prepared. But in class 12th, generally, I have focused along with basic preparation of JEE, along with I have just focused on PYQs.
Okay.
So overall percentage was 92% in PCM. Better in maths.
Okay. And what was the overall
so my whole focus was last 10 year PYQs. So I have just made a register out of that. Chapter-wise register. At that time, means not so systematic and resources were available in my area.
Okay.
So generally, I focused on PYQs and revision NCRT and PYQs.
At least you had a focused preparation for that. It's not like my case.
For it was 100% in JEE.
Actually, my parents are a teacher, so obviously school would a little bit more focused.
Got it. And both of like Puran sir, you wrote your JEE exam in class 12th and get through it, right? Got through it.
No, you dropped for 1 year after that.
After that. So largely your focus did not work that well also.
Yeah.
I did the same thing like when I was in class 12. I started my preparation after class 11th. So 1 year I was part of one of the major coaching institute. I was doing my preparation. And since I had not done anything from 11th and the journey was pretty hectic and very not very well planned. So in that year, my focus was to get good marks in board exams. So I did some organized preparation, especially because I was ill for a certain point of time and I was not able to go to coaching. And I was back at my home. So I used to live in Bhopal to do coaching. And my hometown is Sohagpur in Madhya Pradesh. So that is where I live. So I have to come back to my home place. And when I was there, I got ill. So I had nothing to do. I started attending a local chemistry coaching from a very good teacher. for that matter. She was a very good chemistry teacher. So Shukla ma'am was there. She used to teach me, and she was a great teacher of chemistry, especially at the level of board. She was absolutely one of the best. So I attended with her, and even watched the amount of chemistry she taught me in class 12th. I was able to crack few JE questions in JE Advanced using that chemistry also, especially metallurgy wala part. And but and towards the end, because I was able to focus last 2-3 months before the exam on the boards, like most of the people do. Wrote most of the mock test papers, PYQs. I did a systematic preparation. And one day before the chemistry exam, I remember that something happened, stomach or something, 2-3 days before, and I had zero amount of energy to go and write the exam. I was literally on electrolytes, and I could not bear. I can barely sit and go and write the exam. But without any preparation, I went. And for the last 3-4 days, 5 days before the exam, the gap that is there between the exam, I did not utilize that gap. I was resting in that gap, but my preparation was so good that I went and wrote the exam and got very good marks also. I think it was somewhere around 97-98% in chemistry.
Oh, great.
And my PCM marks were really good, like everything more than 95% in all the 3 subjects. But that is not what made me happy. What made me really happy was my Hindi marks. I had done almost zero preparation for Hindi, and I got 90% marks. And coincidentally, I just attempted 90% paper only. So,
great.
So it was like 100% whatever I attempted, I was able to get it. So that was the most pleasurable thing about writing my board examination in class 12. And I was very systematic by solving PYQs. I especially focused on PYQs like Devesh sir did. And I focused only on the standard textbook. I did not venture into this textbook, that textbook. So one standard textbook that I used to follow, that I followed, did previous year question, and that is it. Most importantly, I did a lot of writing practice. That was important, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
And the last minute preparation, 1, 2, 3, 4 days before the exam. If you have not done anything, then it matters. But if you have done good preparation, that does not matter, because in my case also, chemistry exam, I just went and wrote. And I don't know that in the 3-4 days I was able to do something in physics or mathematics also. Long-term preparation counted, largely speaking.
Right, because questions are repetitive in nature, in boards.
Board exams,
The
yes.
same.
I wrote it from Madhya Pradesh Board of Secondary Education. What was your board?
CBSE.
Devesh sir, your board?
Same here.
Same. You are a CBSE student. Okay.
So what's the difference in CBSE and your board?
See, in our board, like people, you do not used to score a lot of marks. The state boards usually had that pattern in 80s, like 90s basically. Yeah. Especially until 2000 also, it was a pattern that students do not used to get a lot of marks. Like my overall percentage was 88%, because in 4 subjects out of 5 I was able to get very good marks, but English was not good for me. I really do not score very good marks in English, and hence I was able to get less marks. Overall percentile was 88. But in 88% marks, I was the school topper. And I got 1 or 2%, I would have been in the merit list. And largely, I have been in the merit list till class 8, I think 10th also. Not very clear regarding 10th, but so I was able to get there. And I had made a commitment in the starting of my class 12th, basically to my school teacher that, we worry about, I used to do not go to regularly, I not used to regularly attend the school. So she was worried about what you are doing, etc. So I told her that you worry about other students. I am going to get more than 85% marks. I was able to get 88 and I was very happy. And she was also very happy. And she was very cooperative with me throughout the year. I used to score very good marks. So largely it worked out for me. And after that, I have to take a drop because my JEE preparation was not good. And then I properly focused, and then I was able to crack JEE.
Right.
Got it. Any other stories regarding your board exams? Nothing that you can remember.
So basically, a story was just after exam.
Tell me after exams.
One day I was sleeping in the night at around 2-3 a.m.
Okay.
So I dreamed, and I had a dream at that time. The board and officers are carrying the examination copies from school to their centers, and meanwhile there was a flood, and all my board copies was drawn in that. So I was very upset ki what happens now I become and I will be failed. So sometimes scary stories.
I think each one of us had that trauma. I don't know whether you guys had that trauma or not. I used to always had that trauma for multiple years when I was passed out of IIT also, that I'm going to miss the exam. And I used to get up with a lot of fear in my head that I am going towards the exam center, I am late, and or I missed the exam, or I forgot about the exam. So
Right.
many years
That
later,
happens.
I had this lot of trauma inside me regarding those exams and fear of the exams.
And there is a major tomorrow today, and I'm getting late for that.
Yes. You also had that trauma, right?
Similar.
Similar trauma. Okay, let us move towards the next question. The next question is, what do you think is the right kind of preparation a student should do before the exam? And if it would be better if each of us categorize the answer for a student that is currently scoring just about passing marks, some between 40% marks to, let us say, 70% marks, and then pass 80% marks and more than 80% marks. Okay. So what should be your strategy? Devesh sir, you can take up first. Like, what do you think should be the strategy of a student before the exam?
So basically now we can in the same way we can categorize the student also. So we can categorize the student in three ways. Okay, at current level and according to their recent pre-board exam, okay, there is a category of student who knows the answer and they are also well prepared how to write the answer.
Okay.
There is second category who knows the answer but not their presentation is pretty bad. So means overall performance is still down. So, and the third category, there is a student who are at the boundary level, means they have little bit knowledge but not very happy with their performance. Even presentation is average. So for all those students now who are who knows the answer and their performance is current level better. So I will request them ki just solve the model papers daily. That will
For
help
students
in
scoring more than 80%, 70, 80% marks, you are recommending that solve one model paper
well,
daily.
solving model papers will help them along with
Mock test papers
previous year
basically largely.
mock test papers. Okay.
And for students between 70 and 40 and 60, something like that.
40 to 70% they have to, because they know how to answer, means how to solve the question, but their presentation is bad.
Okay. Fine.
So again, they have to write, they have to prepare a register of PYQs, because generally happens in examination, they know how to solve, but they forget now what is the kind of language they have to use. Means they stepwise presentation they have to practice. Okay, and for while writing their model papers or previous year papers, they have to write all the questions in steps. Okay, in step number 1, step number 2, step number 3. Then generally board is teachers like this kind of presentation in steps. So now I have seen over the years that they are avoiding good marks if the student is writing in steps.
Got it. And
so everyone is aware of means suppose that how to, if they know the answer, the only thing they have to make them sequence what I have to write in the first, what I have to write in the second, what I have to write in the third.
Got it. And what do you think should be done for a student who is not passing the exam today, let us say, or is just at the boundary line?
Puran sir.
Okay, I can tell about physics, right?
Yes. I think that knowledge will be very applicable to other subjects as well.
All right. So in physics, there are certain areas which are quite easy to master. For example, if I talk about modern physics.
Okay.
Right. Like it has, I think modern physics has around 12 questions, right? 12 marks out of 70. And then semiconductors around 7 marks. And EM waves. So these topics are unrelated to other chapters.
Got it.
You can do this topic in isolation, right? So like electromagnetics concepts are not required in modern physics and semiconductors, right? Still you'll be able to master those topics. Right? So it adds up to around 19 plus, you can say around 22 marks, right? And apart from this, you can focus on current electricity. That is an easy topic. That again adds up to 5 marks, right? And there are certain areas like ray optics is there, which is quite lengthy, but there are certain areas which are easy to master. For example, they can master spherical mirror, which they have already studied in class 10th. Lenses they have studied, right? The difficult part, I would say, for a student who has not studied well, will be optical instruments. But still, they will get one question from that, right? But if you do remaining of the chapter, you'll be able to score well in optics also.
Got it.
And there are some theoretical areas in wave optics also, right? In wave optics, there is Huygens principle that you can practice.
Got it.
Right. And YDSE, I would say it is easy, but students find it tough. If they are able to do YDSE, Young's double slit experiment, then I think they will be able to perform well in optics also.
And you have also recorded those one-shot videos on boards, right?
Yeah, so I have recorded every chapter, like derivations will be there. The important questions will be there. Like if they watch those recordings, they'll anyway end up scoring 40 plus marks.
And what I understand basically, and this is based on my preparation I'm taking, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. For physics, if I'm talking about, the derivations play a very important role.
Yes, definitely.
And not every derivation is important. Some derivations are more important than other derivations.
Yes.
So if understanding what is important and knowing that somehow becomes very important.
Right. Now, if you look at last 5 years PYQs, now you have the idea like what are the important derivations. Only those derivations, if you prepare, you'll end up get 80% of those derivation in exam.
Got it. Understood. Okay. And what about the students who are in the middle, like the 40 to 70, 80% marks?
So for those students, like they have to complete course, right? They have to complete all chapters. Okay. And what they have to do, like there are around 250 like NCERT questions, back exercises there, and then there will be in-chapter exercises, right? Questions will be there. So if you add them, it will be around 250 questions in physics.
Okay.
Apart from this, you can say there will be 250 questions. If they're practicing last 5 years PYQs, they will add 250 more questions, right? So overall 500 questions. If they practice these 500 questions, they will be end up getting very good marks in board exams.
Got it. Makes sense. And for the top students, again, you will also recommend mock test, right?
Model, yes.
Mock test.
Model test paper they can practice. I think I'm pretty like if a student is good, like he already done PYQs at this point of time.
Yes.
So for them, like they have to do model test papers. Yes.
See, again, I will also, most of the points you have already covered, and I will like to add 2-3 more points. See, for me, it is important that students should consciously prepare. Okay, so whatever marks you're getting, you can get 40% marks, you can barely pass, you can get 100% marks. Every student can improve their score at the last moment, especially before the exam, if they can consciously prepare. What does that would mean for a student who is getting, let us say, not 100 marks, but 80% marks is what kind of mistakes I'm doing in the exam. So my presentation in the exam, so if I'm writing a mock test paper, it should be very well analyzed and understood that what exact mistakes, what is the nature of mistakes that I'm committing. And then you should work on those mistakes. Then write the next text paper. So it should not become an exercise like every day I will have to write a paper. So I will write a paper without doing proper analysis, understanding my mistakes and preparing them. So for students who are missing on to that 20% marks, I have seen that most of the time they will have hole here and there. Like physics, they will not know certain derivations. In chemistry, they might not remember certain reactions. Mathematics, some typical questions they can't do, or some 1 or 2 topics they have not prepared nicely. So they need to understand where that exact problem lies, and working on those problems can get you next 20% marks.
Right.
And for the students that are in the middle, Devesh sir covered it really well, that their problem is with the presentation part. So here I will like to elaborate the idea that what do we mean by presentation and steps. So I will give you a hack to hack the whole idea. So whatever you are writing, try and explain it like you are explaining to somebody, those who do not have the basic knowledge of the subject. So whatever you will write in 1 line competitive exam, write that in 3-4 lines. And if you do not know the exact words, write in the English language, that is also fine. So if you're applying some formula, write the formula. If you're applying some theorem, write the theorem. So automatically you will get the steps right.
Right.
So this is a hack that a student can use to elaborate the answer. It is also more important for these students who are in between to understand that start, and this will come on to exam, how to attempt the exam. But spend more time with those questions in the exam that have more weightage. So 6 marks question, 4 marks, 5 marks question should get more time. And then you can do some things that are not there in the books. This is the clever part. So what you can do is you can come up with your own diagrams. Like you can draw a small flow chart. You can underline important points. And you can draw some diagrams that show the flow of the process, how the process is happening. Let us say there is some extraction process. So in books, you will not find those flow charts happening, right? But you can draw a flow chart. You can draw a small diagram to illustrate a process based on your own understanding, based on what you have read. So putting that something extra will give you some extra marks. Okay, so probably I have missing on to 1 or 2 points, but I have expressed it so well that I get some extra marks in writing the same answer. Got it? So this is one thing that I think in presentation, it gives you a lot of marks. And for students who are failing the examination, let us say. So in mathematics, you can focus on those chapters which you find easy. So I will not say that you are finding this easy, that easy. Focus on those chapters. Take the PYQs. And just focus on the PYQ part. If you have some time, take NCERT, solve the NCERT. And now you can restrict yourself to limited amount of syllabus, prepare it nicely, go and write the paper. Weightage in your school exams will not largely change. Weightages might still be available to you. If you're not available, we'll put a link somewhere in the description. But the idea is that
it is given. It is
given.
by
It is given. Yes, largely I know it is given. So understanding that if I want to get 40% marks, or 30% mark, 25. So what you can do is you can understand that 20-30% margin of error you can take. Focus on limited amount of syllabus, prepare it nicely, go and write the exam. I will go as far as saying that remember and learn by heart the questions that PYQs has been asked. Just knowing the right kind of process, especially for few students, mathematics is very tough. For few physics would be tough, for few chemistry would be tough. Just remembering the right kind of thing, even if you don't understand, for passing the exams, it becomes important. So there was a teacher, and I used to live in front of where I used to live, and he was expert. He had gold medals in. He had done, I think, masters in 5 subjects, including Sanskrit and Hindi, and 5 subjects, and he was always a gold medalist. So he had developed this art of writing a paper, and he taught me that art. So he told that there should be 2 margins, one on the left, one on the right. Left margin, all the questions should be written. Right margin, all the rough work should go. Whatever they're asking, write the question nicely, what is given, what is asked. This will give you 1 or 2 marks sometimes, because sometimes the paper checker is in a hurry, and most of the times they will not want to fail you. They will want to pass you with slight margin. That is their mindset. So they will not want to go in the extreme. They will not want to fail somebody. They will not want to give them excessive marks, like 100% marks. They will want to keep you in the band so that they do not come under scrutiny. In order to save their work, most of the times, if you write it nicely, what is given and what is asked, there are nice diagrams inside it. And then you present it in a nice manner, you might be able to pass the exam, despite not knowing the exact answers, etc. Will not work in objective part of the exam. Now, if there are 17, 18 questions approximately, or 15 questions sometimes that are objective, it might not work there. But all subjective questions, it might work to a large extent. So in a nutshell, diagrams, flowcharts, highlighting the right content, right? Even handwriting is, because my handwriting is really bad. So writing it nicely, open it up. Like if your handwriting is bad, open the content up. Do not try to put everything together. Write nicely with a lot of spacing. Underline the things that you want to highlight are critical points. Okay. These could give you very good marks, and do not fear in quoting an obvious formula. Even if you're applying Pythagoras theorem, write it basically. The Pythagoras theorem, quote it down. There's no harm in doing that. Okay. Chalo. Now let us move to the next point. Now the next point obviously is how to write the exam. So Devesh sir, any insights like how to write the exam? How did you write your exam? Like, is there some method into it?
Simply just before the exam, suppose that we have 1st Feb to 15th Feb, we have 15 days to go. So alternately, we can suppose, and today we are solving mathematics mock test. So next day, chemistry mock test, then physics mock test. So at least if we are writing 5 mock tests, and after writing the mock test, what you already mentioned, after writing the mock test, we have to analyze.
Okay.
So again, coming to the same category of a student. So the first category of a student that suppose that somebody is scoring around 40 to 50% or less than 40%. So means a board has enough leverage of framing the papers such that you can easily get enough 50%, 60% marks. Like they have 19 to 21 questions, that is one marks questions. So that is one liner type. Even presentation doesn't much matter in those questions.
Those are objective questions, right? So
objective questions
MCQ,
and suppose there
MCQs.
are some MCQ. So 21 questions and are objective questions. So if we are focusing on means one liner statement, even in generalized preparation, suppose that key student is not comfortable in a particular chapter, but he know the basics, then he can answer, and those objective are 2 marks question are very short and answer writing questions. So presentation less matters.
Got it.
So while writing in the next 15 days, while writing the mock test, so I will request all of you to analyze whether out of these objective and very short answer type of questions we are getting enough marks or not. If not, then do little bit generalized preparation in at least the basics theory and basic examples in NCERT or previous year questions. So that will help them to score around 18 marks in just 21 marks. So 1 or 2 question barely they will ask different. Otherwise, so around 18 marks they can get. Then they have some 2 marks questions where presentation less matters. So for all those students who are scoring less, so one-liner and objective questions will help them.
Okay.
I think in a better way.
Got it. Got it. Anything else you will want to add regarding other
obviously for other student, if somebody is scoring really well, so what you have suggested, apart from regular presentation, they have to use some creative works like like flowchart, map, sequencing, highlighting. That will help
Got it.
in a better.
Got it. Puran sir, anything more you would like to add?
Right. So basically, what I feel they have to practice a same derivation multiple times.
Okay.
Right, because suppose there are 20 or 30 derivations in physics. If you master those 20, 30 derivation, you end up getting 30 marks, right? 20, 30 marks with derivation only.
Achha.
And along with that, there will be some connected numericals that you can practice. So getting marks in physics is quite easy. Presentation is not required in that for derivation, right? So you have to practice the way it is given in the book. Just you have to just copy that.
Write it down.
The same thing, the same way you have to do it. And that's what I've done in class 10th, right? I pick up a derivation, right? So I have done a single derivation 10 to 20 times.
Okay.
Which is given in the book in the same way.
Got it.
It won't
what you're saying is basically if somebody wants to pass the exam, just take those 20, 30 important derivations, practice them multiple times, go and write the same derivation in the exam hall. Don't worry much about anything. Passing becomes
and there will be MCQ, and MCQ if you're prepared for JEE mains, so I think MCQs will be able to crack easily.
Okay. What Devesh sir said is true.
So there are 12 MCQs in physics and like 4 very short answer type questions. So a quick derivation, like a definition question will be there, right? Where presentation is not required. Just you have to write down the definition, right? You have to mug up the definition and write it down.
See, I will want to take a slightly different take. There are 2 ways to write a subjective exam because I also did UPSC preparation. So I had some experience in doing that. So either you go from 1 to 10 or you go from 10 to 1. And then you can also have some scattered pattern that most of the students follow. There are 2-3 models in doing that. So according to me, there are merits of each of the model. I will tell you what I will used to follow and then what are the merits of other model. What I used to believe that whatever you know the best, you start your paper from there. If you know the PYQs, MCQs best start from there because the initial 10-15 questions, the examiner is going to, the guy who's checking the paper is going to pay attention. It is going to generate an psychological impact where the student is prepared or not. So what will happen is your anchor will be there when they are checking the questions. So if you are doing a mistake, they will cut 1 mark or not 2 marks. So it helps you setting the anchor of the person who is checking the exam. So do the initial questions that you are attempting the paper very nicely. Spend time on it and do all the frills and do everything, whatever you can do with few questions. And that is the reason I suggest start with high weightage questions in the exam. To start with, those are more number of marks, because even if you spend little bit of more time, it is worth it. You're getting that extra mark that you might have otherwise lost out in the end. So I usually recommend, I used to do that. I used to always start with high weightage question 6. So I will start my paper upside down, and the long answer type I will start first. Write them nicely. And most of the time, long answer questions are easier to predict. Okay, like because there are limited variations that can happen. Like your derivations, they know that what can be predicted.
So
it is very fixed.
all long answer questions will be derivation in physics.
Yeah, so like it is almost fixed what they can ask. Mathematics also, every chapter what they can ask is almost fixed. So you focus on those. There's a less variation basically, and if it is more subjective paper, it becomes more easy because then you can remember the answer as well. Nice, write it nicely, then move on to lesser confident question as you move towards the end. An important thing should be the worst of the questions should be done towards the end, because if you miss out on those questions and if you are not able to give enough time, anyways you are not able to get marks. And it is totally possible that in the flow that you have generated for the person who's checking the paper, he might end up giving you some marks because you have generated a very good impression in the starting of the paper, and it is a very manual process. Psychological factors are in play when somebody is checking your exam. So this is what I used to follow. Now there is a merit to 1 to 10 pattern also. A lot of people profess that also. 1 to 10, like you are starting in the same order as the paper, because it is easier for the person who's checking the paper to check it. So usually there will be, I don't know if it is there or not, there in the board copy, there will be a sheet where you'll have to put the marks corresponding to every question that you checked, so that there is no checking error, calculation error in terms of adding up the marks. So it is easier for him to do the work. So you're making his job easy by attending in the same order as the paper has been framed. And slowly the level of the question is rising to, if you're very well prepared and the order of question do not matter to you a lot, then do this. It might work for you. But if you're moderately prepared, like I was, basically, I was well prepared also, but I always considered myself moderately prepared because they can ask something that I don't know. So I should always flip down the paper, start from higher weightage. Now, a scattered pattern, I do not recommend it a lot because it generates a lot of confusion. Kaun sa kiya tha? Because students will also do this.
They can leave some space, right? So they can leave some space and then do the question.
Later
That's
on?
what I suppose for section A, they can leave some space. If they are starting from some another section, they can leave.
But it requires a lot of practice to understand what kind of space is required for which question.
That's what my teacher suggested me when I was going to write the exam.
When I taught students when I taught in the school, etc., for 5-6 years, when I used to check their copies, but I used to see that students will rewrite the same question. So there are two parts of the same question in OR. Basically, they will solve both. Okay, so this kind of smartness people will do. Sometimes they will put the question with a different question number. So you are checking an exam, you will not remember, basically, you remember what kind of question was asked, but you will not remember which number question was it. People do all these things to get marks in subjective exams.
Right.
So I do not recommend it, but these are the tricks that few people use, and I will not recommend them. And I go in a very systematic manner, like I told earlier.
If a student has a decent speed, he can start from the very first question and finish it.
If he's very well prepared, I will recommend going from 1 to
right.
That method, basically starting, because it helps the examiner to do things fine, and it is at his own pace. But for me to produce a good impression, I will want to start with my best answer first, because that will generate the best impression and that will carry forward. Okay, so let us take our last question here, that what should be the pitfalls that a student should avoid at this point of time, especially a few days before the board exams. So, Puran sir, what is your take on what are the pitfalls that are there and what should be avoided?
So I think the first thing, they must be self-doubting themselves. They prepared for 2 years or 1 year for class 12th, and at this point of time, with current preparation, they're doubting themselves. So I would suggest see guidance with their faculty members or with the parents or with their elder siblings. So do share what they are feeling at this point of time. So that is required.
Got it. Devesh sir, anything else you would like to add?
Especially before the exam, sleeping cycles would be a bit better. Second thing, we have enough gap time for the mathematics paper. Means 27th chemistry will be over. Then we have 7 days to go. Within those 7 days, generally get confused what to leave and what to prepare. So this is the common confusion they will have. So uh, as already we have discussed, they have to identify the first few topics where they are mostly comfortable. And for all those topics where they are not comfortable, but they have, because of 1 week time, they have enough time. So they should solve the PYQs in the register. Because in examination, if we have something in your handwriting, then your recalling capacity and get better in mathematics. So if they are now, means there are some students who are making this mistake and being overconfident, means they know how to solve, but they are not writing. So in examination, either their speed will be slow, or they will not able to recall how to write. So their presentation will be not terribly bad. So I think these are the mistakes generally they should avoid. So
got it. See, for the last few days, few pitfalls obviously are there. Like if you have been studying really well, you do not need to overexert towards that. Even if you write mock test papers, it is going to be enough. Mock test and mock test analysis, this is the one thing that most of the students will miss out. They will always be busy in studying something, but the evaluation is not happening that from the where the marks are going to come from, or where am I losing marks rather than for that matter. So understanding that from where the marks are going to come from or where am I losing marks is the most important key in getting good marks. And this is where I think most of the students will not just go and write the mock test paper even to the last day. They will just write whenever they are forced to write a paper like a pre-board paper. But they do not realize that most of the students prepare for engineering exam these days. And they have developed this conscious habit of reducing or cutting down the number of steps. So elaboration of a step and then explaining something, this is a lost art for most of the people. So last 7 days, if you can just focus on elaborating the same ideas that you have already known. Like most of the people can give me a 2-liner answer of a 6 marks question. But that is not what is required in the exam, right? If you have 5 days, 6 days, 7 days before the exam, pitfall that you should avoid is only learning and not writing exams. Make sure that last 10 years PYQ papers, and if not 10 years, at least one from every year you are writing in your own handwriting and seeing that if I give myself marks, how much marks I will be able to give myself. Because you have got enough evaluation at the level of school exams. You understand how the marks are being given. Or you can give it to a friend and get it evaluated. And if possible, give it to a faculty and get it evaluated. And get feedback that what you can improve. And those small improvements will count a lot. And then obviously what Puran sir said, self-doubt. So no need to doubt yourself basically. Whatever you can, you will be able to do. What you can't, what you cannot do. And there is enough time to improve. Till the last moment also students improve in board exams because there is not a lot of difficulty level in doing what you are doing. But there is a lot of sincerity in requiring to do what you're doing. That is very important. And what Devesh sir said is again very important, that sleep cycle, this you should not destroy. Raat bhar jag ke padna does not help anybody. If you want to study a lot, get up early in the morning. That is not going to destroy your focus, etc. And being active in the same hours when the exam is going to happen is very important. Being prepared with basic things like admit card, all those things before the exam would be very important. So do not generate those kind of panic situations. Don't do any revision in the morning before going to the exam. So those are like the basic things that most of the students get wrong. We tell it every year and people will still do it. Anyways, I am different. But the reality is that no one is different. We are all the same. We do the same kind of mistakes. We had the same kind of doubts. We will all not do practice. We will all not do PYQs. We will all not write mock test papers. And these are the things that if we avoid largely, you can see that most of us can get very good marks. Right. Okay. So at that note, let us try and end this session. Thanks, Devesh sir, for coming for this session. Thanks, Puran sir, for coming for this session and sharing your insights with the students. We will come back with another video, and this week is a podcast week, so we are going to post multiple podcasts. You will enjoy this. Thank you.